But first, the clash of the last two Scottish Cup winners.
The Scottish Cup. That's Hooper, but suddenly the SPL champions move a step closer to the double. Ledley! It's party time for Celtic. The Scottish Cup will be theirs.
Hearts versus Celtic at Tynecastle Stadium. Commentary comes from Billy Dodds and Liam McLeod.
The last two winners of the famous old trophy going head-to-head at Tynecastle in what is the standout tie of this year's fourth round. And while Heart of Midlothian still have bigger battles to fight off the park, a cup run is something that would not only mentally boost their fight to stay in the top flight, it would also provide them with a financial return. The problem for them is that up against a Celtic side who will be hurting from their midweek European exit, and since their defeat at the hands of Hearts in the semi-finals the season before last, they have cantered to victory each time they have come here, scoring 11 in just 3 games. And the players couldn't ask for better conditions for today's game. The pitch looking good, the skies above still blue, floodlights beginning to come on as well. And now, as with all Scottish Cup ties this weekend, there will be a minute's silence observed as a mark of respect for those who lost their lives and those who remain injured in hospital following the horrific helicopter crash on Stockwell Street in Glasgow on Friday evening.
Please, respectfully, if you join us right now in taking some time out in silence.
Well, Gary Locke has a small squad to choose from. The guys were just talking about that, but he has decided to start young David Smith on the right, with Ryan Stevenson supporting Callum Patterson. Jamie McDonald in goal is the only man in that lineup who started the 2012 Scottish Cup final. Scott Robinson in midfield came on as a late sub. Neil Lennon drops Borigter and Samaras to the bench, with Kyle and Forrest out altogether. The Israeli Nir Beaton replaces compatriot Kyle in the middle. Stokes has scored 5 in 14 against Hearts in his career, including here at Tynecastle in a 3-1 league win in September, with Joe Ledley also restored. There is no one over the age of 20 on the Hearts bench. The King brothers feature on it, with Callum Tapping left out from the start. Teemu Pukki, the Celtic striker from Finland, has 2 goals for the club. One of those came on his debut here. The referee is Willie Collum, who took charge of last season's final as Celtic took care of Hibernian 3-0 in May. Collum sent off Real Madrid's Sergio Ramos during their Champions League win over Galatasaray at the Bernabeu in midweek. Positive news on Friday emanating from here. The company voluntary agreement, or CVA, was conditionally agreed for Hearts. There is still work to be done on that front, with a meeting in Lithuania at the end of January, it seems, holding the keys to their future. But the fact Heart of Midlothian could have been closed during that meeting on Friday, it is a massive, major step in the right direction. Billy Dodds, this is normally a keenly fought contest, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about that. And you can never rule Hearts out, especially with this atmosphere at Tynecastle. But they're up against quality opponents, and Celtic aren't they unbeaten in the league this season. It's going to be really tough. But after the result yesterday in this wonderful competition, Albion Rovers knocking out Motherwell, you wouldn't put anything against Hearts to do something, but it would be really tough for them.
It's David Smith with an early free kick for Hearts. It's going to be knocked back in by McHattie, headed away by Van Dijk. McHattie's normally over the set pieces for the Jambos. Celtic really do need to bounce back. Going out of the Scottish Cup is unthinkable to their supporters after their continental adventure came to an abrupt end on Wednesday. Ledley. He would have been disappointed not to start against Milan in midweek. He did come on early because of an injury to Kyle that keeps him out today.
I'm just looking at Celtic's formation. We thought they would go with a 4-4-1-1, but they're set up with a diamond in midfield. It's Ledley on the left, Beaton on the right, and it's Mulgrew just drop off with Brown playing in front of him. Very attacking.
Oh, that's wonderful play from Celtic, and they've got a chance to get an early initiative here, and Commons gives them it. Wonderful goal from Celtic. Chris Commons had the pleasure of finishing it off, but Hearts have been ripped open here in the opening few minutes at Tynecastle as Celtic take a big step towards the 5th round already.
Well, it's a start that Hearts dreaded, isn't it? But it's absolutely brilliant play from Chris Commons and Joe Ledley. You can see Hearts not in a bad position there, back four intact, but Celtic work it, just pass it about, little give and go. Ledley into Commons. They're not tucked in, Hearts, but still got a bit to do from there. My word, does he do exactly that? Fires it right into that far corner. Wonderful start for Celtic.
Well, there's the answer to anyone who thought Celtic might be slow out of the blocks, that they might have a hangover because of what happened to them on Tuesday evening. The good thing for Hearts, from their point of view, Billy, is despite losing the early goal, they haven't looked too rocky.
Yeah, they've created another couple of opportunities as well. Rewarded for them at the start of the game.
It's Jamie Hamill. He's apologising. As he did have Jamie Walker out on the left-hand side. He's going to have a pop himself.
The space is there. Comes through some bodies as well. We know Hamill's got a strike on him, but just doesn't get it on target.
Celtic free kick. Robinson and Brown.
Certainly got to pass their way through, or they're switched off.
Taking it quickly. This is Chris Commons to make it 2, and does. Celtic take out an insurance policy in the capital, and it's Chris Commons with a double. Celtic 2 the double. It's Hearts 0, Celtic 2, and is that game over already?
You would think so, but the inexperience shows there, especially from Mahati. Maybe somebody inside, maybe talking to him that Commons just going to run across the back of him, but Mahati, you can see him to the right, Commons is to his right, just switches off. It's only a 6-7 yard dart from Commons, puts him in, but when he gets there, he's shown already left foot for the first goal, right foot for that one, but Hearts completely switch off, don't they?
That's Chris Commons into double figures for the season. Mulgrew. And for Commons. To Brown. Back to Commons. Goes for the chip. That would have been some way to get your hat-trick, would it not?
But it's his movement. He gets himself between centre-half and right full-back again. He's not the quickest, Commons, but it's his movement. But once he gets this ball back, you can see the awareness where McDonald is. A decent save from him.
One of those through. Dundee United manager Jackie McNamara and assistant manager, coach Darren Jackson. 2 former Celtic players, of course. Mulgrew. He's trying to play in Stokes. Good first touch from Anthony Stokes. This is on as well. Off the woodwork, but Brown will make it 3. And Celtic are surely now through to the 5th round. And we're just beyond the half-hour mark at Tynecastle. It is the former Highby, the Celtic captain, Scott Brown. And it is 3-0 to the holders.
It's that area again. It's a brilliant run from Stokes. You'll see it. McGee's got him, and then he's not. And he's clearly onside, as you see, but that movement is killing Hearts. Even though he's young, McGee, he's got to be more aware. McGowan's in trouble, can't do anything about it. Leslie comes in, hits the shot, deflected onto the post from Joe Ledley, and then it just falls to the one that Hearts fans just didn't want it to fall to. Scott Brown, the ex-High B, with the easiest of tap-ins, and it really is game over, isn't it? You would think.
do not want this to be a trouncing. Already 3-0 down at home. It's heading that way. And isn't far away either from Beaton.
Just a little touch, give and go again, and just gets it set from Stokes and just wraps a foot round it. There you go. Just bends it. Can't be far away at all.
Commons. It's the deepest he's been, I think, in open play today. Zagiri back to Ledley. Away from Hamill. Beaton. Good run from Lustig here on the right. Early ball comes in, and the fourth arrives. Joe Ledley, who scored in last season's final, ensures that Celtic are taking a Sunday stroll down Easy Street in this fourth round tie. 4-0, not even half time.
Yeah, but it's, you see left side, working from left to right, out to Beaton. We're talking about those full-backs getting forward, Lustig, but what a ball that is. If you're a forward-thinking midfielder or a forward, just throwing yourself in there to get a tap in, and Ledley does exactly that. Brilliant again from Celtic. But he has to tuck in. He can't get out quickly enough. What a ball that is.
Well, the Celtic fans will be absolutely loving this. As a neutral and as a Hearts fan in particular, it is tough viewing. Oh, and there's the fifth. And what a fifth it was from Mikael Lustig. That is an absolute stunner that has put Hearts to the sword.
Hearts are caught up the park there. We get a few committing forward, and we talked about that as well. And then Lustig breaks forward in a central area, gets out this right, cutting into the central area. He's got Stokes making the run, as you see, the back four set off. He's not using Stokes, he's hitting him from 25 yards, and it flies over McDonald. It's a great strike, isn't it? You fear for Hearts, you really do. 5-0 down, young manager, young players, all over the place. Where did he go from here?
Just 1 minute of stoppage time added on at the end, well into that great play from Jamie Walker. And not even getting the bonus of a consolation before the interval. Walker's shot saved well by Fraser Forster, who keeps his clean sheet.
That's a great touch from Foster. Not the best of times recently, but tell you what, it's a fine instinctive save from him. Walker again, the positive one, gets through. Wants a penalty as well, felt as if he was clipped, but good effort from him.
Corner in towards the head of Wilson. Stokes are beat on, and it is half time. And from Hearts' point of view, they'll be gutted. It's not full time. They want this game over and done with. And we have an unbelievable scoreline at Tynecastle at half time of Heart of Midlothian 0, Celtic 5. And that is Brad Mackay, who is a defender, and he has replaced David Smith, who's playing on the right of midfield in that first half. We'll get to Billy's thoughts on that in a second when Willie Collin gets us back underway. It will be Hearts who will restart the match. Their heaviest ever defeat. Hearts was a 7-0 loss to Edinburgh rivals Hibernian. That match on New Year's Day 1973 here at Tynecastle. They'll be looking to salvage some kind of pride from proceedings tonight. Dusk has fallen on Edinburgh, and it's Van Dijk for Celtic who go hunting a sixth goal. Still trying to work it back to the big Dutchman, who does like to get forward when he can. So how does it look as though Hearts are going second half, Billy?
Yeah, Brad Mackay, he's just gone into right centre half, and they've pushed McGowan into midfield. Just try to get a defensive midfielder in there just to sit and protect and try and get a hold of this Celtic movement.
Ball from King was blocked, but it does come to Dylan McGowan. He's pinched off him though. Commons going to feed in. Stokes comes back to Ledley, who fires it across. He's going to come back to Commons again. A shout for handball, and it is a penalty kick. And Celtic do have the chance for a sixth. And he can bet Chris Commons will try and find this ball. He'll want this hat-trick.
Just rubbing it in, isn't it? We'll get a look at it, but Ledley could have had the strike. McGrew could have taken it himself. Goes back to Commons. he just helps it. That is harsh. I can't believe Willie Collum has given that, to be quite honest. He's 1 yard from him, his hands down. It's not unnatural. It's a poor decision from Willie Collum.
It could be Chris Commons' day. Chance for his hat-trick. Celtic looking for a sixth at the school end at Tynecastle, and they have it. And Commons has his hat-trick.
That's clinical from Commons. I didn't expect anything else with the day he's having. Even when McDonald goes the right way, no chance of stopping that.
Wonderful from Chris Commons, right into the bottom corner. And they got this penalty because of this handball from Danny Wilson.
What can Wilson do there? He's trying to get his hand behind his back. It's down by his side. Commons is only 2 yards away. Listen, it's not Willie Collins' fault today that Celtic are winning 6-0. But individually, you've got to look at that goal. It's a poor decision.
How Hearts would love to have that man in the maroon shirt again. He's a big jambo, Rudy Scatchell. Scored twice in the final against Hibs. He was a legend in his first spell, let alone the second. He scored in the 2006 final as well in the victory over Gretna on penalties.
Think could have made a difference today? No.
Hamill! Almost.
It's a really good strike from him. Not the opportunity to get forward had at all during this game, Hamill, but we talked about how he's got a strike on him.
Riton, Pookie gets a shot away, and that's a great save. McDonald. It's still alive though. Stokes clipping it in. McGowan heads it away. Only as far as Brown. There's 7. Hearts are heading just now for a record defeat, it seems. Scott Brown leathers home Celtic's 7th. It is 7 heaven for the holders.
Does it take a nick? It was good save from McDonald right away. Comes through. I think it was it Mackay's legs. Then when it comes out, Brown just hits the strike. Yeah, takes the deflection. I thought McDonald had gone the wrong way. When he's going for you, he's going for you. Celtic have been brilliant. They get their 7th, a decent strike, but the nick's all important, isn't it? Good technique from Brown, you see, eyeing the ball, body over it, and the deflection gets them their 7th.
As Dirk Borigter comes on to replace Chris Commons, and listen to the ovation that this man is about to receive.
Quite rightly so, his finishes were just excellent. Yeah, a penalty thrown in, but you still got to stick at the net.
Fisher gets it back from Stokes. That's found Borigter. And Stokes keeps it going. Brown's in a hat-trick. Celtic corner.
Yeah, another deflection, nearly got him that hat-trick. Good movement again, Fisher down the right. Hangs out a lovely cross. Knocked down by Borigter. Stokes can't go on the score sheet, but Brown's left foot strike nearly gets him his 3rd, and Celtic's 8th.
Well, he will be purring after this, Neil Lennon. Joe Ledley. And now Ambrose. And there is the final whistle, the torture over for Hearts. Celtic celebrate a magnificent victory and a magnificent performance to celebrate Neil Lennon's 200th game in charge of the club. The first goal coming from Commons in the 3rd minute, and from that point they did not look back. Commons completed his hat-trick in the second half. He got the second on 21. Scott Brown got the 3rd on 32. Joe Ledley scored the 4th, and then a stunner from Mikael Lustig right on half-time made it 5-0 before the interval. Commons adding the 6th from the spot, just shy of the hour mark, before Scott Brown volleyed home after a deflection to make it 7. Scott Brown goes up the tunnel, 2 goals himself today. He's got his eye on the double himself this season. It finished incredibly here at Tynecastle. Heart of Midlothian 0, Celtic 7.
Neil, is that about as close to perfection as you could have asked for this afternoon?
Well, it's the best performance I've had in my time as manager. You you always look for more, but in terms of utopia, that's as good as it gets. That's the way we've tried to build this team, and that's the way we want them to play, and it's the way we want a Celtic team to play. It was everything I could have asked for.
Gary, is that an afternoon to forget or one to learn a hard lesson from?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. One, we've got to try and get out the system as quickly as possible, but there's certainly a lot to learn from it, you know. But we didn't start the game well enough, you know. We lost a poor goal, and you know, sometimes you just got to hold your hands up. You know, we're a young side, but we got completely outclassed today.
But it's the players around me that make me the player that I am, and you know, with that being slipped in, you know, from Charlie and you know, other players, then you know, I'm kind of useless, but you know, I'm blessed with playing with such a good group of players.
A hat-trick for you and 2 for your captain who's standing next to you. Scott, glad to have the shooting boots on today?
Yeah, it's been a long time since I last scored. I think it was probably at this ground as well, but take them as they come. It was the hardest one that I've scored this ever. A wee tap in there and a little bit of deflection for the second one, but I'll take them all.
4 years since Scott Brown last scored 2 goals in a game for Celtic, but a brilliant performance from Celtic today, Billy. Great reaction following their European disappointment as well. Fulsome praise there from Neil Lennon as well, saying that was the best performance in his 200 games in charge, which is massive praise when you consider some of the performances Celtic have had during that time. To what extent were Celtic excellent and Hearts were awful?
Yeah, a bit of both. I think we have to analyse it like that. Celtic were brilliant, they were immense. You can only beat what's put in front of you, and the Celtic did that with aplomb. The way they moved the ball about, their movement, their interchanging, and you know. But we have to look at it as well and say there was some poor defending from Hearts as well. But take nothing away from Celtic; they were clinical on the day.
How impressed were you, Pat, especially given Celtic's disappointment in midweek against Milan?
I think that's part of it. Oddly, you should mention that, because I think there's a reaction from the Celtic players, and a great reaction. That's what Neil Lennon obviously wanted. One of the great things about them, they started the slickness of their passing, their quick passing, good appreciation of their passes as well, and also the movement was great right from the first minute. They adapted to the new adapted system they were playing to really, really well. So from the start, it was great. And we will talk about how poor Hearts were and a variety of reasons for that, but take nothing away from this Celtic performance. Neil Lennon's right to say that was a brilliant display. And
probably no Celtic player reacted better than Chris Commons, who was pretty much outstanding throughout the afternoon.
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard to ignore what he did in the game. The passing again, the movement was great. I mentioned there before there. It's a great finish, you know, it's a difficult angle, it gets lots and lots of power on it. But have a look at him here in the centre of the pitch. The normal thing is to go towards the ball or away from it towards the goal. But no, he goes intelligently wide to where the space is. Now, the full-back doesn't help, it does help him by diving in there. But that's intelligent movement, not the obvious place to go. And when he gets there, the finish is superb. And everything he'd done just about in the game was superb.
Yeah, it was incisive. There wasn't a lot of movement. You see here again, we could talk about the defending, but it's an 8-yard run, but he's in, and he's wrong foot as well, and he puts it in the far corner. He's got so much game intelligence, just head down there, but he knows where the goalkeeper is. He's trying to chip him, and then seals his day, seals a fine day for him with that penalty right in the side net, and he's just got so much quality.
Yeah, he was great. At times Celtic were unstoppable. We'll talk more about that shortly, but in terms of Hearts, Billy, we talked about how awful they were at times. How culpable were they in their own downfall? Yeah,
we stop here. There's 4 circled with the back to the ball. Maybe Wilson could come across. We've circled here, but with the ball and where it's rolled into young McHatty's area. Now, we don't want to be harsh, they are young lads, but Gary Locke will be showing them this, and if he deepens early, that doesn't happen immaterially what the other 4 or 5 are doing.
This is a big problem, but they played a high line quite a lot of the time, and as we all know, play a high line, you leave too much space for a guy on the ball like they had there, they're always going to cause problems. Now, it's not obvious from the start that's what the initial problem is. Now, he's scratching his head a little bit about it there, but he'll know himself. If you're going to play a high line, get tight every single time in the midfielders, because if you don't, good players will destroy every defence, and that's what they did today.
Uncomfortable viewing for Hearts fans, although I don't expect we have too many Hearts viewers tonight, no. I think it's fair to say. Let's talk about Celtic. For a time, Billy, they seemed almost unstoppable, especially towards the end of the first half.
Yeah, mesmerising. It just wasn't the interchanging of the midfield to the front ones. It was this goal sealed it all for me. It was the fullbacks getting forward, and Lustig plays that in there. Now the more experienced one, Hamill, drops his man, but that's a ball that you just love getting on the end of it. Because being forward, fellow forwards pattern.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a lovely training ground goal. But this one's another one. Here's your problem with the defence. Now they're scared to go out because they were caught behind before, but you can't give that much space. And see, when you do, someone eventually has to go, and no one goes. And again, it's this naivety that they've got, this inexperience they've got, and they just didn't know where to come and go. Part of the problem was, you know, Scott Brown was playing in the kind of number 10 position.
Sure.
Sometimes it was Commons, sometimes it was Stokes come back there as well. They had no idea who to pick up.
Celtic certainly didn't need a helping hand today, Billy, but they got it in the second half. You were very clear about your thoughts about this penalty, and I don't suppose it's changed much.
Cruel, it was cruel, it really was. And as I said, and I stand by it, it's not Willie Collum's fault, but if we're analysing Hearts and Celtic, saying Celtic were brilliant, Hearts were poor defensively, Willie Collum's got to analyse his own performance. Look at where he is in that picture, 8 yards away. Look at Wilson's arm, it's behind his back, it clips him.
I'm looking at Pat for a case.
It's cruel when you're 5-0 down, he gives that.
A case for the defence, Pat.
No chance. No, it's a fantastic penalty corner, but the most important point, I do say it all the time, has to be deliberate handball.
Sure.
Be serious, that's nowhere near deliberate. So he got that one wrong. And again, you know, if there's a psychological difference between 6 and 7, and they're trying to fight. And I will say one thing about Hearts. They did keep on trying to fight, particularly in that second half, but they just got unlucky again. And by this point, Celtic haven't taken the foot off the gas, but they aren't playing as well.
Yes.
But they're still playing well enough to get another couple of goals.
And after his goal for Scotland, Scott Brown becoming a goal machine at the moment, it seems cruel to talk in this way about Hearts, given all the problems that they obviously have in the league and off the field. It's well documented, but that result has got to be crushing in terms of their morale, you would imagine, Billy. And next weekend they're away to, well, informed Dundee United in the Scottish Premiership. But how do they bounce back from this?
It's going to be tough. You know, they've got a lot to fight for, though. You know, they're fighting that relegation battle down to 12 points. Festive period coming up. If you can get it maybe down to 2 games, 6 points, then they're bang there. But they'll have to wipe that. But it'll be wiping it with Gary Locke having to show them, because you have to teach young lads. And it's a sore one, but he'll go through it, he'll tell them where they should have been and what he wanted from them. And if they do that and then get it out of their system and look forward to that relegation battle, then that is the way forward. But it's a sore one for the young lads to take, it really is.
I've had a 7-0 before myself, it's how you react.
Yeah, 40-year anniversary since Hearts lost 7-0 to Hibs. They won't want to be reminded of that